Are you an accounting or tax professional who wants to stay ahead without spending a dime? Join thousands who trust insightful accountant and tax practice news to keep them informed and empowered. Get expert updates on QuickBooks, Xero, tax planning strategies, and workflow tips delivered straight to your inbox. Whether you're a solo bookkeeper, firm leader, or tax advisor, these newsletters are your shortcut to what's next in the profession. They're free, practical, and built for people like you. Visit insightfulaccountant.com and hit subscribe to start your smarter workflow today for free.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our August Future Forward App Academy. I am your host, Amy Keenan, Marketing Manager here at Insightful Accountant. So excited that you're here with us this week. So excited to wrap it all up, our Future Forward App Academy, with our amazing sponsors today. We have Finatical, KVinci, and Xero, each coming to you for 20 minutes talking about their solutions and their partner program and helping you get more familiar with how they help you. With that, I'm going to stop sharing, stop presenting, and I'm going to hand the reins over to Chris at Finatical to kick things off. So welcome, Chris, to our App Academy today.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Amy, and very good being here. Very good being with everybody. And so, so Amy, I'm sharing my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes. So you're not in presenter mode, though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, but yeah, just quickly wanted to share. I'll kick off here, just a few slides here, 2 or 3 slides, just to give you a brief introduction here. So Finatical, we're all about Excel-based reporting and analysis. So it's operates as an Excel add-in and for QuickBooks Online. And so we've been incorporated about 3 years ago, so fairly new technology, but because of that, we're also able to make use of the most latest features that Microsoft actually provides. We're based here out of Durham, North Carolina. So I think with QBO, there's a couple of things, right? I think that we see that, that we don't always, or that we would like to see differently. And so that's where, we come in. So essentially, we're this Excel add-in. Excel is still very much, widely adopted and used. So with Flash reports, it's an Excel add-in, and it brings in the data from QuickBooks Online. What we also see, what's very exciting is the developments from a Copilot perspective, and that also being incorporated, within the Microsoft technology, which we are then able to use. Couple of use cases here, and the one that I'll specifically be talking about today is just the nonprofit industry. So a couple of reasons why we're relevant to nonprofits, because we can report on projects, which very much represents grants. We can report on classes and combination of those two, and that's what I'll quickly be showing as well. The product is essentially a plug-and-play solution, so you can very quickly install it and immediately start using it. So so if you head to our website, you'll see some references and everything else there as well. But let me jump into the application here. As Amy mentioned, right, we've only got I've got 15 minutes left now. So let's quickly show you some of the product. So here within Excel, this is standard Excel. How you get to it, you actually just go to the add-ins tab over there. And there you can either just type in Finatical or Flash, you click add, and then that basically brings up this tab over here. You then click start, and you can log in and company connections, and then you connect, directly to a specific company. So let me just show you here. So it's a real-time connection to QBO, and just put in my password over here. And so it's totally integrated, and so there's no separate database that we're reporting from. So here we can see, right, I'm basically just selecting the companies that I would like to log on to. And this creates this direct connection between your desktop version and Microsoft Excel. Okay, so here we're connected now. So there's a couple of templates that we can actually generate, right? So there's standard templates and a whole number of templates that we can run for various types of reports and even nonprofit reports. But what I'd like to start is just run a quick basic report, and I'm going to do some custom report building, because especially in the nonprofit space, right, there's not always every report that meets your specific needs. Sometimes you want to add a column, you maybe want to add budget, versus, for different periods per quarter, or like in that budget variance report or budget comparison report, there's various columns that you might want to add. So I'm just quickly going to build a custom report And after that, I'll show you, some templates. So I'm just going to step through the wizard here. And so I'm connected to 3 different companies here. I'm just going to connect to, or reporting from one of my nonprofits. I'm just going to run it here for last month. And then here, I'm basically just going to select, basically I can select which columns I want to pull in. And I'm just going to select, just total. And then here I can also select maybe some of my filters. And so let's just say my report, I want to filter by class. And I'm not going to include a budget from the beginning because I'm actually going to include it manually just to show you the report building process. So essentially how Flash works, it makes use of, so we populate this formula, so this is our custom formula that gets populated at the cell level within Excel. But it makes use of cell referencing to populate it with the parameters that are needed in order to get fresh values from QBO. So in a second here, I'm going to press refresh, and then we're basically going to get some new values from QBO through this query that then gets passed over, to QBO. But in this formula, we've got to tell this formula a couple of things, right? And this is through cell referencing. We tell it to go and look for company there in cell A1, and there we can see it resolves, right? B4 and B5 is your start and end dates, right? And then actual versus budget is they're in B6, and account comes from A9. And I'm also referencing class as well. So all of these cells have this formula in them, and then that's, the referencing that takes place. So now if I go and change any of these parameters, right, that were referenced, then I can see, right, my dates and my values are essentially just updated as well. So let's just see there, I'm going to change it back to last month, and there you can see the values are just updating as well. So let's just say in our custom report, we quickly want to build a report. And let's just say our budget performance report, right? So it's normally actuals, and then I want to compare it to budget. So how would I do that, right? So in the absence of not having anything, how would I very quickly do that? So here, all I did is standard Excel, right? I'm basically copying over, creating another column. And then here, for this, I'm basically just going to pull in my budget values over there as well, right? So now column C, I can see has got budget values in there. So now I'm going to use standard Excel, right? Basically just to do a plus minus calculation for me, right? So there, I want, actual versus budget very quickly there. So there we go. There's our formula. Just click that down, right? Bring that down. From a formatting perspective, right? All I need to do here is essentially just bring that across, right? And now I've got my variances. All right, so let's just say the next thing now is that I maybe want to do the same thing here, right? I basically want to create year-to-date numbers, right? So I can also then essentially just copy these over, right? And let's just say here, I very quickly now want to do here year-to-date numbers, right? So here I can just use my, this year to last month, right? Because I think that's what we're reporting on. From a cell referencing, I can maybe just report that, right? So now essentially I've got my year-to-date numbers right to last month. Invariably, your budget performance report, what you also want is, you basically want then your budget for the whole year, right? So let's create another column here, for your budget, right, for the whole year. And so there, there we're just going to update, this one we're basically just going to update and change this instead of actuals, right? I basically just want to update that to my budget number. And I basically want my full year data, right, for the whole year. And in your budget performance report, invariably what you want in this column over here, what you always want is essentially your remaining values, right? I mean, I think that is what folks normally always want to see. So let me just say I'm going to have remaining. And then I normally take my budget minus my actuals, for my year to date. So that would be that column, there's that column. And very quickly copy that down. My formatting, if I like this formatting, right? So what you see very quickly, in sort of 5 minutes, 6 minutes, I've created a custom budget performance report with almost, I'm going to say, knowing very little. But being able to use standard Excel functions, right, in order to help me build this report. So next month comes, right, so I basically can save this as a normal Excel file, save this as a template. And what comes, all I do is I just press the refresh button, right? And last month, now, obviously, if I was in September, this would then read my August data, and all my data would immediately be refreshed as well. So the concept here is that we're pulling this data directly here into Microsoft Excel, and with all your custom formatting, everything remaining intact. Okay, so the big thing here is, if you do also then want to see maybe the reason for a variance, all that you need to do here, click on the drill down button. That passes another query over to QBO, right? And now I can see all the details opening up in a new sheet here, right? And then I can create any type of filtering or data analysis on this as well. Also, so what we did is, if you might remember, we also included class in part of my column, in terms of my formula, right? And as I mentioned, we can do anything. We can put in class, we can bring in projects, you can report on any combination of the two. So what I've got over here with Parker is I've got and defined my classes as programs, right, from a nonprofit perspective. So they basically represent here, so yeah, I've got my P&L. Now, as we can see here, I've also basically got classes on my programs. I've got budgets for that, within QBO. And so now when I basically filter by these, right now I can basically report on any combination of them as well. And there you can see your data refreshing dynamically as well. Okay, all right. So I showed you how to create this manually, which is probably the most difficult part of how to do it. But what you can also do is, as I mentioned, there's a whole number of templates that you can actually build, right? So here I basically got, budget performance report, as one of the selections. And so all that you can do is just click next there. We can include a filter for class, right? You can include your budget, and there we click import. And so this is basically there. And now we can see Flash essentially dynamically, right, building this for us. So you don't even need to do what I just did. Basically is that here we can see, just built it here for us. And then here is essentially those same columns that we saw, right, just from that budget performance report. Here I included, just class as a filter as well. So come, let's say August 1, right, all that I need to do then is basically, let's just say I want to run this for August. Then essentially I would just change the date there, basically, and run it. And there we can see like all your cumulative values. I've got a bit of test data here, for August already. So we can see those values updating there as well. Okay. So as I mentioned, there's a whole number of templates as well that you can dynamically just run, and it works per the specific entity that you're working with as well. So one of them is also just basically is our standard dashboard. So we've got a dashboard here, and this dashboard includes here what we can see here for various. Here I've got a dashboard, basically running it here for June. This dashboard also is immediately available. You can just execute on that, and let's maybe just change these dates here for a different date period over here, right? And then we can see I'm pressing refresh here, just pressed enter. And so at the top for what we can see is some KPIs at the top here. Here's some balance sheet items over here, as well as a bit of analysis on grant income. Over here, we've got a 12-month trend report, and I'm just going to zoom in a bit over here. Here we can see the past 12 months of income and expenses. This basically enables, you can go back any period of time. And so it's just a 12-month trailing analysis. There's some period comparisons, some, top 7 income and expenses. Here's my cash on hand analysis as well. Obviously, we've got a bit of a big overdraft available, right, in this demo system. And so there's some income and actual to budget progress as well. So yeah, so another thing is just here, this dashboard is immediately available, any company, or even if you do the trial, you can immediately, just execute on that as well. So a couple of other things over here, and let me just get that out of the way, is so another big report as well here, in the nonprofit space is essentially, as I mentioned, being able to report here by the intersection, right, of customers, right, customers and projects. And so what we see is a donor summary report here. And so what we hear is that, so we receive, nonprofits, we've got donors, and we have some receipts, right, from them, or say income or receipts from them. And then we want to do a cumulative analysis of those balances, right, by donor. And we also want to translate that. And because it can actually span multiple fiscal periods, what we can see here is that I've got an income and expense analysis. And then I've got a beginning of the year balance. And then, but what I've got here then is for my formulas here is income and expenses to get me to an end balance. And, if I press refresh over here, we can see just these values, essentially just refreshing as well. So this is where, we're able to report in any format that you would want, because we're able to report on, say, the project dimension or the customer dimension, within QBO. But then in this example, what I've got up here is I'm also filtering this formula now by class, right? So as I mentioned previously to you, I'm basically filtering, basically if you had a specific donor that's giving money for a specific program and you have to report on that, then you'd be able to report, just on that intersection as well. This data can be managed, in any different directions as well. All right, yeah, I think we're coming close to, just the top, just of the 20 minutes over there. The last thing to show here as well is just in terms of allocations, so here in this example, we can actually allocate costs, any overhead costs, by any of your projects, so a project dimension as well, right? So we're able to do any type of calculations, over various projects. So this is sort of more of a for-profit example, but any type of those calculations, and then we can do an allocation calculation over here as well. So that also is just very possible as well. All right, yeah. So as mentioned, just in terms of the, for nonprofits, I think just what makes it available, uniquely available here for, the nonprofit industry is the capability to be able to report on that intersection of projects, and classes, and be able to slice and dice that data by any in which way folks would want. And I know we've got about, let's say, 2 minutes left there. There's maybe 2 or 3 questions. Yes, so basically, so there's 2 questions. How does it handle new GL accounts? Yeah, so basically with new GL accounts, so there's various ways. In our standard reports, we basically have a reconciliation at the bottom of the class or bottom of the report that basically shows, just how, which accounts need to be added. When you log on to Q or onto Flash as well, we basically give you an indication that the new accounts that are being added, and then you would have to update those accounts, with the report with those new accounts. Another question, can you transfer a profit and loss by class to Flash? Yes, absolutely. So just very quickly, so basically you run through this. So here now, basically, here I can basically, here's your columns. However you want to select your columns, you can do that. And then you can filter by customer as well, right? So let's just say in that dimension, I can bring that in and let's quickly build that report. So here we can see it's just going to generate a new report for me. And then this here, this is our custom formatting. So now we can see, right, my classes are essentially here in my columns. So there's all the programs that I was talking about. And in theory, right, if I could also then filter by, let's say, any one of my donors in this example as well, right, so that we can see just that refreshing over there as well. Let's maybe see, maybe that donor gave us a bit more money for these programs, or maybe not, right? So let's maybe go to Gates. Okay, timesheet data from QBO, yep, that's coming. Yep, so basically not yet, but yeah, so it's yeah. Any other questions there? So Amy, I think this is sort of right there at 20 minutes.
Yes, glad you had some questions in there. Keep the questions coming, please, and we can answer them right in the chat too. So thank you. And thank you, Chris. Love how you help nonprofits with all of this insights and analytics and reporting. It's great.
No, very cool. Thank you. Thank you, Amy.
All right, all, thank you for joining us. As I mentioned, the recordings will be available soon and we will get them out. And stay tuned for our Future Forward next month, which is all about tax. So you'll be getting an invite. You'll see that soon as we start promoting it. We have some great lineup of speakers then. And so thank you so much for being here. And thank you to all our presenters today. Have a great day.